PWE Music. I'm Dr. Patrick Engler, and today we're doing a clarinet masterclass on the Adagio-Tarantella by Ernesto Cavallini. And we're working on the first part of the PMEA District 1 Honors Band audition cuts. So that's pickups to measure 13 to the fermata in measure 32. And so for those of you who didn't grow up doing PMEA or didn't grow up in District 1 of PMEA even, that's where I grew up, and this is one of the pieces that was still on the list when I was doing it, and so I wanted to take a second and highlight it for everyone in that area who's working on it. But even if you're not, this is a standard piece that you'll work on maybe high school, undergraduate level. So hopefully this has some useful information for you, even if you're not doing PMEA District 1. So from the beginning, we want to make sure we're not going too slowly. Check back at the beginning, we have chord note equals 72. So yes, this is the adagio part, but we do want to keep it moving forward. And that's kind of the rule that we want to have as we go through all these 16th note passages. We always want to be rolling forward. We never want to hold back unless we're putting on the brakes to come to the end of a phrase. There's a lot of spots where it's telling you to rallentando. There's a lot of spots where you can retardando and really stretch it out to make a statement. But other than those, we want to keep it rolling forward. So right away we can see at the poco accelerando in measure 16, this is a prime example of we want to keep moving forward. Not just because it says accelerando, but these 16th notes with the grace note in the center, we want to push those to the next thing. We never want to sit back on our heels. So those three 16th notes plus the grace note are pushing to the next thing. Lead forward, don't sit back. Since we're there, just before that, we have one of the only examples of triplets that we have in this entire passage. So it's very important that we lean on the downbeats with those. Make sure we have a good subdivision. Work with a metronome. Don't trust yourself to just feel it. You want to make sure that the subdivision there is really solid and tight, or else it's just going to seem like mush. As always, we want to make sure it's nice and clear. We have good clarity of our subdivisions. So moving forward, a big component of this passage is going to be the articulation. So we want nice and light and not too pecky and not too hard for this passage. It's still adagio, it's still not very fast. So think nice and round, full notes with just a little bit of separation. We don't want to get too far into the marching band articulation. Nice and light and round. That's going to help with, as we were talking about before, moving ahead and not getting stuck back. And it's also going to enhance the general feel of the piece. This should be light, it should be playful, and not too heavy. Another big technical component of this passage are the grace notes. And these should be, again, very quick, light. If you're having trouble with them, practice first without them, and then try to throw them in once you're comfortable with the bigger notes around it. And a general rule with these is we want to take the time from the note before. So in a lot of this, it's really, we're just throwing it in as quickly as we can because it's in the middle of 16th notes. But for these grace notes, if we slow it down and we're playing very slowly with subdivision to get the feel for it, you want to take the time from the note before and make sure the note after it comes in the right spot. And a lot of times we see these grace notes between the second and third 16th notes of a given beat. And so it's very important that that third 16th note happens on the up or the and of that beat. And that's a good goal to aim for. If we're slowing it down and subdividing, we're going to want to hear where that third 16th note is rather than have that be late. So if we sum it up, grace notes, take the time from the note before. So when we're prepping for an audition, there's a little bit of a push and pull as to how over the top or how much extra you want to add in, taking your own spin on a piece. But I think this is a prime example of a solo where you can add a little bit more and go a little bit more over the top in your interpretation and have it pay off in an audition setting. So this is a little bit more of a showpiece. It's a little bit lighter than, say, like a Mozart concerto, where there's a little more history and standard practice. Here we have a little bit more leeway with our expressive elements. And so one of the things you may have heard me do when I was playing it just a minute ago is I like to really add rubato at these ends of the phrases. I like to move the rallentandos up a little bit before where the music marks them and really make a statement on some of these places. So if we look down the bottom of the page, like measure 31, 32, I dig into the grandioso a little bit more than having it rallentando right before the fermata. So if we played it as it is on the page, and I'll start in measure 30. If we play it exactly as it is on the page, it might sound something like this. So we're slowing down right before that fermata. So what I like to do is we want to be a little bit, dig into that grandioso, as I said. The D is the high point of that phrase. So that's where we have a little bit of a hold, and we use some rubato going down into that fermata. Now, if we're slowing down at the end there a little bit more, that means we need to speed up before that a little bit more. So we kind of mirror the phrase right before it with the accelerando, and we accelerando through these two measures as well. And so there, as I said, holding that D a little bit longer, really making a statement, and really marking the arpeggio down, and really holding back where it says rallentando. And to make that happen, we speed up a little bit more in the measure preceding that. So that about does it for a brief intro to this first section of the PMEA District 1 solo. If you have any questions, be sure to throw them in the comments. I'll have part 2 for the faster Tarantella section coming out within a couple days. And we'll see you in the next video.